Well, I think sort of the genesis that responds to your question is that when 9/11 happened, Suzanne Kreider and I, who were married at the time, we really wanted to apply whatever skills that we might have to do something, but we didn't. We felt like that one of the key feelings among people at the time was a feeling of helplessness, that this is too big, that things are at work here that most of us didn't have any control over. But we felt like that we were going to go into a period where there's going to be a lot of reporting on conflict and war, and if we could reserve some media landscape for talk about peace, that would be helpful. And it would be helpful to try to give people ideas about how they could respond to conflict in their own lives in nonviolent ways. And to recognize that just throughout the day, every time you turn a corner, every hour, there's some way to reduce conflict or some way to communicate better, to prevent conflict. So we went to sort of a concentric circles approach about peace, to be able to talk about the pursuit of inner peace, the kind of things that we have conflict over in ourselves, the kind of things we have conflict over between two people in a relationship, at the workplace, in the schoolyard, and then it kind of grows out from there. But if you feel empowered that you can do something about your own life and the people around you, then it makes a little bit more sense that you can understand or maybe even contribute to a pursuit of world peace.
Let me ask it another way. I meant to say that I realized when this subject first came up, the Department of Peace, let's say,
yes,
that I thought of peace as the absence of war. Mm-hmm. But it's more than that, isn't it? There's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, it's a very active pursuit. I mean, I think we have to be thinking about it a lot all the time. And it's a little bit like, when people are in a relationship with somebody, you say you work at the relationship. That means that you have, an awareness or a presence that you care about how the relationship comes off, right? And so I think.
So how does that apply on a world stage?
Well, I think that we have to practice peace. We have to practice peace every opportunity that we get, and then it becomes more of our own culture. Then we can ask our representatives to practice peace more consistently because we're doing it ourselves. So it sort of legitimizes the whole pursuit and recognizes mostly that we have some power here. We can do something about it.
Hey, one more question that jabs at the same thing. When I came down to KUNM one time to give a ride to my friend Jane Davis, who was interviewing on your program, which was fantastically interesting and moving interview, she didn't speak about peace in the normal context that we think of war, peace, no war, peace. She was speaking about prison work and about forgiveness, and it was very profound. And I realized that subject has a lot to do with what you're doing with peace, right?
Well, we look outward to places where we think people are doing. I think that is peace work. I think someone like Jane, who's willing to go into prisons and talk with people who, have been convicted and incarcerated. They obviously, for either committing the crime, didn't deal with conflict in a nonviolent way often, or they are faced with the conflict of being incarcerated, and now what do they do with their inner struggle, right? So those are all conflict scenarios, and those are places where someone like Jane is offering an open ear and an open heart and a compassionate take on things, so that people who are in prison, most of them get out. So she's doing kind of the good work that allows people to, maybe do some repair. And that repairs the society, because when they get out, there's less conflict outside. So it's how to reduce conflict. That's peace work to me. And it doesn't have to be this huge, big thing, whether it's the Middle East, Syria, Africa, whatever. It's our lives. Let's take some responsibility for trying to do something about it. And that's what we try to do on the radio show every week, is to offer people ideas about, remembering that these are places where there are some tools that you may not have thought of that you can, use to reduce conflict.
Now the concert that's coming up this weekend, it's an interesting mix. I appreciate the artists, and I also appreciate seeing that KBAC is helping you promote it. So how does that all fit together?
Well, it's sort of the village approach to getting the word out about peace efforts. We're celebrating 10 years of Peace Talks Radio. That's the reason for the concert. We've invited Mary Gaucher, who is a great Americana singer-songwriter who did a concert for us about 8 years ago. She was part of a bill that helped us get started on the project. So now that we're 10 years down the road, we thought it was appropriate to invite her back, and she quickly said yes. She's just a remarkable personal peace story herself, because she's battled a lot of demons in her own life to be a successful singer-songwriter. Rahim Al-Hajj, virtuoso Iraqi-born oud player, who has his own personal peace story. He opposed the Saddam Hussein regime as an Iraqi citizen, was incarcerated and tortured himself before he fled to Syria and Jordan, and then to the U.S. here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So I heard him play the other day. It's just remarkable skill, and he relates his life, the pursuit of peace in his own life into his instrumental music. And seems like a good pairing to me, and I think people that catch us at the James A. Little Theater on Friday night at 7:30 will be in for a real open-hearted treat, because they'll see the music. We'll also treat them to some of the excerpts from our show. I think it's going to be a pretty uplifting night.
Okay. See you there.
Jim, thank you.